Hi everybody, it's Dee and welcome back to my channel. This is my second video of content and I welcome you to the channel. It's Mama Dee's Middle Age Mayhem. So as I said in the beginning video, we're going to discuss issues that have to do with middle age. You're welcome to come subscribe to the channel, listen to the videos if you're younger or older. As we said yesterday, or as I said yesterday, middle age is somewhere between 40 and 65, technically. And so we are going to discuss different issues that have to do with that age range. So I welcome all your comments and any suggestions on a subject or a topic maybe that you are interested in learning more about. I think a big issue with our age group obviously is health issues. And as a nurse, I've seen that. Been an emergency room nurse for 28 years, and then I've been doing telephone triage for the last several, for a total of 31 years as a nurse in emergency. And so I'm really familiar with the different symptoms and complaints and problems that people come into the emergency room with. And obviously, you know, as you get older, your body doesn't work as well as it used to. And unfortunately, you're like me and you didn't take care of your body when you were younger. And if I can, like I said yesterday, say anything to anybody that's younger and healthy, do not mess your health up. You know, get that extra weight off, exercise before it does what it did to me. I've got heart problems, I've got atrial fibrillation, I've got what they call sick sinus syndrome. The sinus node of the heart that initiates the heartbeat is sick. And so I would go up into the 160s and 180s, and then I would drop down into the 30s and almost pass out. So I ended up having to have a pacemaker put in to regulate my heart. I found out I was diabetic when I was 40. I'm 61 now, so I've had 21 years of diabetes that I really didn't take good care of. And so diabetes really messes with the little capillaries in your organs and body. And so if you don't keep your sugar under control, it damages your nerves and your blood vessels, and then organs start to fail. And then with being overweight, like I've been all my life, pretty much, that puts a lot of work on your joints. So you have issues with arthritis and pain and things like that. I've got high blood pressure. I was adopted, so I didn't really know my history up until last year when I went through Ancestry.com and I reconnected with my birth mother and found out that she has lung cancer, but she was a really heavy smoker. So right now I don't know anything else about my family history as far as my father was concerned. But history does play a lot of it, but also your environment and you know, what you do with your life matters. So today I wanted to discuss some things about the health aspect. And a number of Americans age 45 and older usually have at least 2 chronic conditions, and that has grown by 17% in the last 10 years. Research by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has found that. The research also found that over 20% of Americans between the ages of 45 and 64 have at least 2 ongoing health problems, and that's up 15% from 2000. So we're just getting more unhealthy in our age group. For adults over the age of 65, 45% have 2 chronic conditions, and that's up 37% from a decade earlier. And then there's also mental health, not just physical health. So middle-aged people are the least happy. Isn't that sad? We're the least happy. I mean, you know, we've made it through the younger years, which to me were the most traumatic. But we are the least happy and have the lowest levels of life satisfaction and the highest levels of anxiety. And that's from the latest well-being statistics, what that shows. That's sad. You know, really, this is the time of life that you should be enjoying life, you know. A lot of you, you know, your kids are growing and gone, and you've got grandkids, and I love my grandkids, and I enjoy being with them. But I do suffer from some depression. I've been on antidepressants. So I don't know if it's an age thing. I you know, had some issues earlier in my life. I think they were all stress and environment related, but I've had to take antidepressants a couple times to get over the hump. But it's really sad that we're the least happy of any age group. And it said even people aged over, it says even people aged over 90 report a better life satisfaction and happiness than the 40 to 59-year-old group. And that was a study from the Office of National Statistics. Women overall reported experiencing higher levels of anxiety than men, and I think that's probably true. They were happier and more satisfied with life than men. So it's kind of both. They have more anxiety than men, but they were happier and more satisfied with life than men. I think our middle-aged crisis, quote unquote, happens more to men maybe than women, but you know, they're getting to that age where they think they don't look as good, and that's you, stereotypical guy who buys a sports car and starts screwing around with a bunch of young chicks. So, you know, statisticians analyzed personal well-being data for more than 300,000 people in the UK and collected that information from 2012 to 2015 and found that happiness and life satisfaction plummeted among respondents aged 35 and over. Plummeted? Isn't that bizarre? I don't know. I don't know. However, the trend reverses once respondents reach 60. Yeah, I'm 61. I'm going on the higher level now. With people ages 65 to 79 tending to report the highest average levels of personal well-being, all those levels slip again as respondents move further into older age. So I got to enjoy the next 9 years, evidently. Getting older can bring on health problems as our bodies change. We know that. Not everyone will get them. We know that. But some medical conditions become more common or more serious after we get a few decades under our belt. There are 5 surprising ways that age itself can pose health challenges. And so the first one is getting the flu. When you're over 65, your immune system isn't as strong as it used to be, obviously. And seniors make up the bulk of the people who die or hospitalized for flu-like symptoms. Age raises the chances of serious flu complications like pneumonia, sepsis, and the worsening lung and heart disease. A yearly flu shot is a must if you're in our age group. If you're older than 65, ask your doctor about the high-dose version, which offers more protection. Now, I have asthma, I have heart problems, and I have high blood pressure and diabetes. And did I say asthma? Yeah. So I get a flu shot every year. So far, I've never gotten the flu. I may have gotten bronchitis, but I've never gotten the flu. And symptoms of the flu are body aches, pain, fever, extreme fatigue, and then you can have the upper respiratory stuff with the cough and all that kind of stuff. Another issue with getting older is a triple whammy is weight gain. Now, I've been overweight all my life, so that's not been something I just acquired as I got older. You lose muscle as you age, so that makes it harder to keep the pounds from creeping up. You also become less active. At the same time, your body burns fewer calories for the same physical activities that it did when you were younger. So it's harder to lose weight. You probably know that being overweight or obese raises your chances of many conditions, including heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, and stroke. But the extra pounds can pose an even bigger burden on older people. Everyday movements like walking and getting out of chairs even gets harder, and obesity and arthritis often go together. Yes, they do, because you're putting that extra strain on your joints. So whether you're 50 or 80, you need to ask your doctor about smart ways to fight weight gain. Every little bit helps. And when I was going to have my knee replacement, I read up that I knew I wouldn't remember. Every pound was like, that you lost was like taking 20 pounds of pressure off of your joint. So even if you can lose 10 pounds or 20 pounds, will be a big help. And as you grow older, I think we've all heard of osteoporosis. You get fragile bones. My mom was so fragile. Her bones were like eggshells. I gave her a hug one day and I broke her rib. So Many seniors fear falling. Advancing years can affect your balance and make you less steady and sure on your feet. And nowadays, so many people are on blood thinners, they fall and hit their head and boom, they die of a head bleed. Falls can be especially dangerous if you have osteoporosis. When your bones become less dense and they're like eggshells, you're more prone to breaks and fractures. And women 50 and older are twice as likely than their male peers to break a bone because of the brittle bone disease. You can keep your bones strong if you do these things. Eat lots of fruits and veggies and foods high in calcium. Ask your doctor if you need a vitamin D supplement, which I just started taking. My vitamin D, my calcium was lower. Older bodies absorb less of it from the sun. And if you live in areas like now where, I live in St. Peters, Missouri, a suburb of St. Louis, and it's, dark by 4:30. So lift weights, do strength training exercises. That helps your body, walking, push-ups, squats. Quit smoking if you do smoke, and avoid too much alcohol, more than 2 to 3 drinks a day. I didn't realize that alcohol had something to do with thinning your bones, but it does. The next one is cancer. Did you know that age is the single biggest predictor of your chances of getting cancer? It jumps up after you hit 50. Half of all cancers happen to people over 65. I didn't know that. For lung cancer, the median age is 70. Scientists don't know exactly why older people are more susceptible to cancer. It could simply be that you've been exposed to cancer-causing agents for longer, or maybe your body is less able to make repairs when cells do go haywire. Still, getting older doesn't mean you're destined to get cancer. You can adopt healthy habits proven to help lower your odds. Those are to slim down. Obesity is linked to 13 types of cancer, including breast, colon, and pancreatic cancers. Cut down on the red and processed meat that you eat. Exercise regularly. It helps not only to prevent some cancers, but keep them from coming back, which I had no idea. And then the last one is depression. It's not an unavoidable part of getting older. In fact, about 1 in 20 Americans 60 or older has depression. The lowest rate of any group. But many depressed seniors don't get diagnosed. Older Americans themselves and their doctors may dismiss any symptoms as a natural reaction to illness and life's setbacks. Many more older Americans may have something called subsyndromal depression. You may feel less pleasure in activities and people as you did before, but you don't have full-blown symptoms of major depression. You're more likely to be depressed if you have a long-term health issue like heart disease or arthritis that put limits on your life. I know that. When I was diagnosed with the heart problems and I had to have the pacemaker, I had just had my knee replacement, and I was like a week post-op, and I was at home. I walked to the bathroom with my walker, and I came back, and I got back in bed, and I just kind of felt like I had to take a deep breath. And I did that for about an hour, and then I finally called my doctor, and I said, you know what? I said, I think I need to go to the ER and make sure I don't have a blood clot in my lung. I swore it was that. And so I did, and the doctor came in, and he told me, he said, your CAT scan's fine, you don't have a blood clot. He said, but you're an AFib, and we're going to have to cardiovert you. So cardioversion means they shock your heart. And I automatically started crying, and I was like, oh, no, you're not. And he was like, yeah, we have to. So they put me to sleep and shocked my heart back into a normal rhythm, and that scared me. And then I went about a year where they watched my heart, and they saw this pattern of the going up and down, up and down. And so I had to have the pacemaker. And after I had the pacemaker, it really freaked me out. And I was going to the gym, I was riding my bike, I was going to the lake, I was riding every day, 3 or 4 times a week, 6-10 miles a day. And I just kind of freaked out, and I got scared. I was afraid to work out because I was afraid I was going to fall over dead. And even though the cardiologist told me, he's like, it's good for you to exercise, that's not going to hurt you. It took about a year for me to get the nerves to start going back to the gym. You may feel less pleasure and interest in activities and people as you did before. You're more likely to be depressed, like I said, if you have some kind of major illness. People who need home health care are more likely to have the condition compared to other older adults. And speaking of home care, I have a good friend that I just really, I shouldn't say good friend, I just met her, but she's a sweet lady, and I'm going to interview her for one of these videos. She has her own home, she's a nurse, she started her own home care agency, so I want to interview her about, and she's the same age as I am just about, so I want to interview her and see what she says about the people that she's taking care of in this age group. And then medication and psychotherapy, also called talk therapy now, that's the new in word, can treat it. Loneliness can lead to depression. So our age group, people lose their spouses. They've been married for 30, 40, 50 years, you know, whatever. And that's part of you that's gone. So seek ways to connect with others. If you're dealing with depression and you notice it's getting worse, you got to talk to your doctor. You got to get some help. The medications, it's not weak. I used to think that it was weak to be on medication and to go get help for depression. It's not. That's the strongest thing you can do, is get some help. Talk to your friends and family, join some kind of a class or a group, or do volunteer work. It seems like when I do for others is when I get the most enjoyment. I don't like people giving me stuff. I'm not real, into getting things at Christmas. I like to be the one to give out things at Christmas. So, find whatever works for you to enrich your life and your spirit. I'm a Christian, so I have a deep faith that really helps me get through situations. Not everybody has that. And then, I wish they did. And I wish that I could tell you how much that means to me. But I can't force what I believe onto anybody else. But it definitely has helped me deal with some really horrible situations that have happened to me over the years. So those are some health issues that we can be working on and trying to improve ourselves. Exercise is always the best thing to get your endorphins going. Laughter, if you can watch a funny movie and get some good laughs and enjoy that. A nice hot cup of tea, just relaxing. Take time for yourself. That's one thing I hardly ever do, is take time for myself. And I'm really trying to learn that now. And I think that's huge. And as I get older, I really do enjoy just sitting and watching a movie. I tend to be an ADHD kind of personality, where I'm constantly having to do something. And that's really not good for me. But I did go get tested, and I was going to start on medication when my heart started acting funny. So you can't take, it's really funny. ADHD, you feel like you're constantly going, but the medicine they give you is a speed kind of medicine, which doesn't make sense to me. It seems like they give you something to slow you down, but giving you something like Adderall, which kind of tends to make your heart beat faster and speed you up, actually works to calm you down. But anyway, so I couldn't take that. So I've had to find other ways to calm down and relax. And, when my mind starts racing in a million different things, I just have to take some deep breaths. And as a Christian, I memorize Philippians 4, 6, and 7. And it says, be anxious about nothing, but in everything with prayer and petition and thanksgiving, bring your requests before God, and the peace of God that transcends all understanding will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. So I repeat that, and I just take some slow, deep breaths in and blow it out. And that really, really seems to help when my mind gets all boggled and crazy. So I hope you enjoyed that video and learned something like I did. And please comment below. Please like and share my channel, my videos, and put suggestions down there for topics that you'd like to learn more about. Middle age, we can get through this together, you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.